This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am joined today by Christophe Rochet, who is joining us from Doudet-Roudin. And are you in Savigny-les-Bains today, or where are you located?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We are based in Savigny-les-Bains since 1849. So I'm in the office, actually, where the office is based since 1849. So I am in my office in Savigny-les-Bains.
Fantastic. Now, tell us a little bit about the history of the house, because that's almost 200 years of winemaking.
Yes, absolutely. Indeed, you're right, Jamie. Doudet-Roudin is one of the oldest producer based in Burgundy because the company was founded in 1849, which obviously makes this company one of the oldest producer in Burgundy. And we are still established in the same place in the village of Savigny, where the company started its history in 1849.
Now, when did you come on board? You're a relatively new arrival compared to 200 years of winemaking, of course.
I'm the founder in 1849, but as you know, Pinot Noir make your life easier, and this is the reason why I'm maybe more than 170 years old, but it does not look, it does not appear. No, obviously for this bad joke, but I bought this company in 9 years ago in 2014. I'm from the wine industry, and I was the MD of another company based in Burgundy, and I had the opportunity to buy Doudet-Roudin nine years ago, and it was really a sleeping giant, and I loved this brand because it was obviously in quite difficult economic situation, but the image and the quality of the wines and the history, the storytelling of this company was not affected at all, and it just needed to refresh a little bit the history and the access to new sourcing, maybe the ideas with new sourcing and new ideas, maybe out from Burgundy. Probably something we'll talk about with the Vin de France Pinot Noir later, but it was one of the ideas to give a new can we say impulsion or a new something new in the company.
Fantastic. And what is the size of the company today? How many bottles do you produce in any one year, approximately?
So we produce almost between 800,000 and 900,000 bottles per year, which is still a small company compared to the big players in Burgundy, because most of the well-known brand or négociant that we know actually in Burgundy are something probably 10 times or 15 times bigger than Doudet-Roudin. So we are still a small players, like, and which makes, can we say handcrafted wine, something like this?
I understand. How would you say the role of the négoce, the négociant, has changed throughout history to where it is today?
That's a very good question, Jamie. Obviously, the role of the négoce have changed because in the past, and not in the recent past, but really at the beginning, at the history of the négoce, the négociants were the only structure or companies which were able to sell the wines produced in Burgundy.
Yes.
Because the producers were wine growers. Sometimes they were making their own wines and then selling it to the négoce, but most of the distribution were in the hands of the négoce.
Yes.
And it's true that from year to year, and because of the increasing demand of Burgundy wines, the growers started to first cut the grapes. Second, they started more and more to make the winemaking and make their own wines. And slowly, by generation to generation, they also started to sell their wines direct to the different markets. And so the role of the négociant has not changed, but obviously maybe reduced a little more in terms of volumes because Burgundy is quite a small production, and a big part or a part have been dedicated to négociant before, and they are now in the hands of direct producers. But at the same time, the négociants change their way of making their job with a more implication in the vineyards, with growers of grapes, with the winemaking process, and they have been more and more involved in the quality of the wines in order to have a style for each company and each négoce, which is the case for Doudet-Roudin, obviously.
Now, what would you say the style was of your house as a négoce?
Was or is in Doudet-Roudin?
I guess both.
I must say that the style of Doudet-Roudin is what it was. Because when I bought the company, I was very impressed by the quality of the wines, and more than the quality, with the style of the wines, the profile of the Rhone and the wines, which were exactly what I loved in Burgundy. And so my idea was to try to continue with my new view, but keeping the styles and the profile of the wines, which we could say for the whites, speaking about Burgundy. Maybe we'll discuss Pinot Noir later, or Vin de France. But as far as Chardonnay is concerned, I love the wines with a nice acidity profiles and a nice minerality. And this comes from the vineyard first, and to try to have wines which are harvested at the right time with not over matured grapes, which is more and more complicated, to be honest, with the climate changing. We cannot ignore it. And for the Pinot Noir, we can say that I really love the typically fruity, small berry, red fruits Pinot Noir with spicy notes of white pepper, something which is solid, structured, but with elegancy. I think more and more it really corresponds to the profile of Doudet-Roudin wines.
Superb. Now, here's a question for you. Where do you feel the wines of Burgundy, Bourgogne, sit on the world stage today?
It's true that there is a nice trend about Burgundy for the last 5 or 6 years. I think that initially this demand from the Burgundy wines and the Burgundy vineyards come from probably the style of the wines, because I think that the style with fresh wine, elegant wines, which are not over matured with too much alcohol, that was really in the last 10, 15 years, something that the consumers were expecting, something, very strong with a lot of maturity, a lot of roundness, like wines from, well, I don't know if I have to compare it, but wines coming from other countries, a lot of maturation that personally I love. But the thing is, with this sort of wines, you are happy with the first glass, but sometimes it's too strong and you can be tired, and you cannot expect the second glass. Whereas in Burgundy, with the acidity, which is not a bad word, acidity is really the bone of the wines, and I like the structure of the wines with acidity. And I think that this acidity, this freshness, this elegancy, more and more corresponded more to people which were maybe a bit fed up with too rounded wines, too much wines in the mouth. And maybe that's an explanation about the trend about Burgundy in the last years. And obviously also we cannot ignore that there is a premiumization of the consumption in wines, and probably people prefer to drink less but better.
Yep.
And obviously Burgundy, we are a small vineyard, so we produce small quantities, and I think that it corresponds to a trend of the consumption or consumption everywhere in the world.
Fantastic. Now, you were mentioning expanding your range outside of Burgundy, which brings us to this 2022 Pinot Noir Vin de France. Now, for those people unfamiliar with that term, what does that mean exactly?